Hello everybody, it's Mel. Thank you for joining me today for my TBR game for the month of August. So today I'm going to be doing my TBR game for the month of August. My TBR game is Roll of Reads, which I play every single month to determine what I'm going to read for the month. I will link January's TBR game video in the description for you below. That is where I have gone through and explained all the gameplay and also gone through the rules and the new rules that I've created for myself for this year. I will link that below so you can go and check out all of those rules and gameplay and everything and be up to speed. But I will go very briefly through how the gameplay works for you today. So first of all, I start with my TBR game board, and this is a 20 spaced board, so 1 through 20. I have a bunch of prompt cards which I will shuffle and place out on the spaces, except for 1, 5, 10, 15 and 20, and they all have their own permanent spaces that will stay throughout the game and is always the same. So that is the game board. I'm just going to have a quick sip of my coffee. I will then take a d20 and I will roll my d20 as many times to get the amount of books that I've decided I would like. I pick up each roll, whatever number it rolls, I pick up a card on that number and then do that prompt to determine a book. The game is very loosely based on D&D. It's specifically based on combat rules for Dungeons and Dragons. So with a 1, if I roll a 1 in D&D in combat, that is a bad roll. It means you haven't done well. So in my game, that will get you the out of comfort zone cards. I have to read a book out of my comfort zone, and also I will get a punishment. If I roll a 20 in D&D in combat, then that is a great roll, and so in my game it's also a great roll. I get the mood read card, which means I can read any book that I want throughout the month, and I also get to pick up a reward card. So that's very briefly how that all works. I also have the rule of if I roll the same number twice in a game, then I have to take a punishment card as well. Normally, each month I have to look through how I did from the previous month's TBR. If I fulfilled all of the prompts by reading all of the books that I selected in my TBR video, then that means that I get a reward. If I fulfilled all the prompts but I didn't read all the books I picked out on my original TBR video, I swapped them out, then that means that it is neutral. I don't get reward or punishment. If I did not fulfill all the prompts, so I didn't read a book to fulfill all of the prompts that I picked out in that TBR game video, then I get a punishment, and again I have to pick up a punishment card. I say normally because we are going to not do that in August. I didn't play the game in July because it was the Australian Readathon, so I wanted to focus on my TBR for the Australian Readathon instead. However, July was the first month of the second half of the year, if that makes sense, so I decided to give myself a break for the second half of the year and reset the board, which means that any rewards or punishments coming from June I would not have to worry about. So I didn't do the game in July, so that means that that will happen in August instead, if that makes sense. So I don't need to go through the prompts or the books that I read in the month of June. Nonetheless, before we go and do the game, I do need to talk to you about some books that I want to try and fit on the TBR that I will need to read in the month of August, and hopefully I can get them on the TBR. So first of all, the book for Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany's Patreon book club is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, which I would really like to read, partly because I haven't actually managed to read, I don't think, any books for the book club at all this year, which is a bit of a disappointment because I really enjoy being part of Bethany's Patreon, and I really enjoy a lot of the books that she puts up for the Patreon book club. So I'd really like to be part of it, and I haven't managed to. But also, this particular book is one that I'm really excited about and sounds fantastic, sounds right up my alley. I've been hearing nothing but amazing things about this series and about this author. So I'm hoping to get that on the TBR. This is a book that I believe is a bit of a Sherlock Holmes retelling set in a fantasy world. That's kind of all I really know, but yeah, like I said, I've heard some amazing things about this one, so I'm really hoping to get to it in August because I'd love to be part of the book club chat, as well as the fact that I actually really want to read this book and probably will read it at some point anyway. I'd like to be part of the book club for it, so there's that. I am also doing a buddy read with my friend Michelle, and the book that we are reading is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I've only ever read one other Ruth Ware book, which I actually buddy read with Michelle as well, and I can't remember what it was called. I thought it was okay, I didn't love it, but we're going to try again with The Woman in Cabin 10, so we'll see how we go, but I do need to read that in August as well, so hopefully I'll get that on the TBR. I don't know very much about this one other than the fact that it is a thriller. So yeah, that's all I can really say. I think that's everything that I need to get on the TBR. I don't think we have a buddy read or a group read or a book club read for either Meredith or Paige, whose Patreons I'm both a part of. Anyone that I mention in this TBR, by the way, is listed in the description below, so you can go and check them out, and you should, because they're fantastic. So yeah, that's what I need to fit if I can. If not, I'll just have to go on the sort of general books I'm going to read. I've decided this month that I'm actually going to drop the amount of books down to 4. I was doing 5 previously. I do enjoy the game, and I think that you guys enjoy the game, so I was trying to keep it at 5 because I feel like that's a good amount for the actual gameplay. But it just really wasn't working. I wasn't able to get to all of the books. I feel like if I consistently for 6 months, well, 5 months really, don't read the amount of books that I put on the TBR, then I feel like I probably need to drop it down. So we're doing 4 books for this month. We'll see how we go. We can always be flexible. But yeah, for this month we're doing 4 books for the TBR, for the actual TBR game. But like I said, if I don't manage to get those 2 books on the TBR, then I may have to add those 2, which would mean a 6-book TBR, but we'll see how we go. But yeah, I believe that's everything that I need to talk to you about today. I mean, before I get started, before I dive in. So we're going to go now and play the game, then we'll come back and talk about what prompts I got and pick the books out for those prompts. So let's go do that now. Okay, let's do roll number 1. And it's a 5. Which is TBR jar. Roll number 2 is an 8, which is African diaspora author. Okay. Roll 3 is 12. Asexual, aromantic, demisexual, polyamorous, rep. So any of those. Interesting, interesting. And final roll, 13. Oops. Try a chapter to pick. Okay, cool. Okay, so as you just saw, I landed on a 5, which got me the permanent prompt of TBR jar. So I need to pick out a little piece of paper from my TBR jar. I have my TBR, it's not really a jar, it's a box or container, but that's not the point. So I have my TBR jar, TBR box here. As you can see, it has all of the rolls of paper which have the names of all the books on my physical TBR. I picked physical only because I really want to read that down, and of course I've been adding to it a bit this year. Anyway, so I'm going to give that a little bit of a shuffle and pick out a roll, and we'll see what the book is. There is no meaning to the colours, I just wanted colourful, but yeah, there's no meaning to it or anything. So give it a little shuffle. All right, pop that down there, and we will put them in the right way. Oh, it's all this way. A Dance of Lies. Okay, so that is one of the new books that I bought when my friend Michelle and I went book shopping to a local bookstore, local independent bookstore, so yeah, that's exciting to get a really new book. So it's this one here, A Dance of Lies by Brittany Arena. Sorry about the sticker that's on there. So this says, Vasily Moran was once a dancer in King Ilian's court until he framed her for murder. 2 long years in shackles leaves her broken and hopeless until she's suddenly called to face her king. He offers her a deal. Pose as a dancer at the royal gathering, spy on his enemies, and he'll grant her freedom. But as Ilian's orders grow bloody and dangerous, Vasily discovers the monster she serves may be aligned with an even greater evil. Unexpected help from Ilian's rakish brother Anton, the king of the East, only complicates things more. The rivalry between brothers escalates, and Vasily is caught in the middle. If she is to survive, she must decide who to trust, who to fight for, and how much of her soul she's willing to damn in the process. So I thought this sounded absolutely amazing, that's why I bought it, and I'm really excited to be getting to a book that I bought recently, because too often I do leave books sitting on my shelves and then I kind of I don't lose the interest completely, but I kind of forget, I'm not as excited. So yeah, I'm excited to be reading this one quite soon, and I don't think I've heard anyone that I follow on booktube or Instagram, bookstagram, talk about this one at all, so I'm excited to be reading something a little bit different. And yeah, that's the first book on my TBR for August. Alright, so my second prompt, as you just saw, was to read a book from the African diaspora. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the African diaspora means that obviously Africa, but also people that were scattered throughout the world because of the slave trade. The Americas, the UK, people who are descended from those African slaves that were kidnapped, etc. So yeah, anyway, the books, I've chosen 2 books. Now, I know that you might consider that cheating because the point, obviously, is to pick a book and then try and actually read that book so that I get the reward. But I'm not 100% sure what I'm in the mood for. So, the 2 books, I'll just grab them. Homegoing by Ya Gyasi and On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. So I've heard really good things about this one, but I've also heard that it's really quite heavy. It's about 2 sisters. One is Effia, one is Essie. One is sold into slavery, speaking of. One is a slave trader's wife. It says the consequences of their fate reverberate through the generation that follow, from the Gold Coast of Africa to the plantations of Mississippi, from the missionary schools of Ghana to the dive bars of Harlem, spanning continents and generations. But yeah, like I said, I've heard amazing things about this one, but it sounds like it could be quite full on and quite difficult to read. And I'm not sure how in the mood I will be or am currently for something that's really difficult going. It is reasonably short. I mean, it's quite a small book anyway, but it's also, is that the actual, yes, I think so, only 300 pages long. However, then we have On the Come Up, which is thicker, as you can no doubt see, although it's roughly the same size, I think. Yes, it's the same size, so it's not a huge book in that regard, but it is thicker. It is 435 pages long. Well, a little bit less than that because that was half a page. So it's a few pages longer, but it is a young adult, so I think it'll be relatively easy to read. It is about 16-year-old Brie, who wants to be one of the greatest rappers of all time. It's hard to get your come up though when you're labelled trouble at school and your fridge at home is empty after your mum loses her job. But Brie's success is all that stands between her family and homelessness, so she doesn't just want to make it, she has to. So having said that, I don't know that that's going to be that much easier to read. I did read The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas quite a while ago, and I did really enjoy it, but it was a lot. So this sounds like it could be a lot too. So actually, I don't know whether I'd be saving myself by reading this one instead of this one. So I don't know what I'm in the mood for, but I'm honestly feel like I'm leaning more towards this one at the moment, but I'm being a bit dodgy, but my game, my rules, I can break them. So I'm going to say potentially either of these two, and that way, whichever one I read, I can still potentially get a reward. I know that is cheating, but that's what we're doing anyway. I'm cheating. So either of these two for African Diaspora. Okay. Roll number 3, I have realised that I have not been saying what numbers I've been getting because I've totally forgotten, with the exception of number 5. But I know when I was doing it, I kept track and didn't have any doubles, so we don't have any punishments. So anyway, roll number 3, we got asexual / aromantic / demisexual / polyamorous rep. And I've decided I actually wasn't sure about books that would fit into any of these types of books. So I did ask some people in, again, Meredith from Binging and Books Discord group that I'm part of, if they could suggest some books to me. And I believe it was Sasha from Sasha Reads suggested Role Playing by Kathy Yardley, I think, which is demisexual rep. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure demisexual means that you only experience sexual attraction if you are in a committed relationship. Is that correct? So, yeah, I think that's what it is. But anyway, Kathy Yardley, Role Playing was suggested as a book that has that. I believe the male main character is demisexual. I've been hearing great things about Role Playing for a while now anyway, so it's been on my radar as a book that I thought could be quite good to read. I have actually borrowed it from the library, but I didn't bring it into this room with me, which is a bit silly, but nonetheless, it's on screen. So I'm probably going to read that first thing in the month. But yeah. That's the book that I currently have chosen for specifically demisexual as the representation for this card. So we'll see how we go. I believe, well, it's definitely a romance. I believe that it is a older protagonist romance. So they are in their 50s and 60s maybe, or 40s and 50s. And it is about two people who meet doing online gaming. That's pretty much all I really know about it, but it's always sounded really good. I've heard great things, so I'm excited to give it a try. And then our final prompt we got was try a chapter to pick. I actually got this prompt off of Bethany's, I can't remember the name of it, but a readathon that Bethany does with her Patreons every January to begin the year, and this was one of the prompts, and I thought it seemed like a really cool prompt, so I borrowed it. I don't even know if I checked with Bethany, so I hope that I did and that it was okay, but anyway, I've borrowed it. And the idea is that I will choose some books, and then at some point throughout the month, I will try a chapter of each of those books and decide which book I want to read for this prompt. Kind of like the prompt that I've already got 2 books that I feel like I'm cheating a little bit in this one, but anyway, I am going to do it anyway because that's the prompt. Well, I'm not, because that's the prompt. So anyway, so the books that I'm going to pick from, I'm actually going to choose books that are in a series. So I've got a few series on the go, and I need to actually read down some of the series they have on the go. So I decided that I would pick a few books that are sequels in some of the series that I'm reading, and then yeah, I'll pick which one I want to read throughout the month. They're all books that I want to read, but which one do I want to read this month is the question. So I'm going to get those books out now, and then I will show them to you. Okay, so the books that I'm going to choose from for this try chapter to pick, I will do a vlog of this as well, so keep an eye out for that. I'm not sure when it'll go up, but it'll come up at some point in the next, well, few weeks. So the first book is 10,000 Stitches by Olivia Atwater. I believe this isn't technically a series. I think this is a companion novel. So this is a historical fiction historical fantasy novel written, like I said, by Olivia Atwater. This is the second book in the series. I don't know what the series is actually called. Maybe the Regency Fairy Tales. So the first book was Half a Soul, which I read, I think, 2 years ago and really, really enjoyed. This is a book that I was given for Christmas as well. This was from my sister Carol. So thank you very much, Carol. So this is about Effie, who is a Regency maid. She has most inconveniently fallen in love with the dashing Mr. Benedict Ashbrook. There's only one problem. Effie is a housemaid, and a housemaid cannot marry a gentleman. It seems that Effie is out of luck until she stumbles into the fairy realm of Lord Blackthorn, who is only too eager to help Effie win Mr. Ashbrook's heart. All he asks in return is that she sews 10,000 stitches onto his favourite jacket. So yeah, I really enjoyed the writing style, and I just thought it was really fun. The first book that I read from this series. Like I said, it's not a direct follow-on, it's a companion, but nonetheless, I'm intrigued to read it, and I think that I'll enjoy that as well. The next book that I'm going to be trying a chapter for this vlog is Iris Kelly Doesn't Date by Ashley Herring Blake. This is another companion novel. This is the third book in the Bright Falls series, and yeah, it's another companion novel rather than being a direct series. In this book, we follow Iris Kelly. The premise of this is that there are 3 friends who are best friends since high school. They follow the love situation, the romances of those 3 friends. So the first one was Delilah Green Doesn't Care. The second one was Astra Parker Doesn't Fail, and then we have Iris Kelly Doesn't Date. This one is about Iris Kelly, and I'll just read you the first little bit of the blurb. Everyone around Iris Kelly is in love, and she's happy for all of them, truly. Iris doesn't want any of that. Dating, love, romance. Everyone wants to see her settled down, but she's perfectly happy with her commitment-free hookups. There's only one problem. Iris is a romance author facing an imminent deadline, and she's completely out of ideas. Well, I might as well just read the rest to you. Perfectly happy to ignore her problems as per usual, Iris goes to a bar in Portland and meets a sexy stranger, and a night of dancing and making out turns into the worst one-night stand Iris has had in her life. To get her mind off everything, Iris auditions for a local play, only to come face to face with Stevie, her disastrous hookup. When Stevie desperately asks Iris to play along as her girlfriend, Iris is shocked but goes along with it in a bid to get her creative juices flowing. As the 2 women play the part of a happy couple, they turn into a constant state of hot and bothered, and soon it just comes down to who will make the real first move. So yeah, it's a fake dating. I don't normally like that particular trope all that much, but I do really enjoy Ashley Herring Blake's writing style. I've loved the other 2 books in the series, so I imagine that she'll do this one well. So that is an option. The next option is The Voyage Home by Pat Barker. This is the 3rd book in, I don't know again what this series is called, but it is a series of retellings based on the Trojan War, feminist retellings about the women who were affected by the Trojan War. I didn't know that there was a 3rd book in the series. I thought it was a duology, and I've read the other 2, but I saw this in the bookstore a little while ago and I was like, yes, must get that. So yeah, it follows Cassandra, Yeah, so it follows Cassandra, who has been enslaved as concubine to King Agamemnon, and then meanwhile, waiting the fleet's return is Queen Clytemnestra, vengeful wife of Agamemnon. Yeah, so it's about the 2 women, and it says, as one wife journeys towards the other, united by the vision of Agamemnon's death, one thing is certain, this long-awaited homecoming will change everyone's fates forever. So I know how it ends because I know the myths, but I'm excited to see what Pat Barker does with it. I really enjoyed the first 2, like I said, so I'm excited to, I assume that's the finish of the story, but I don't know. We'll see. The next contender is Silverborn by Jessica Townsend. This is the 4th book in the Morrigan Crow series, or possibly the Nevermore series. Yes, Nevermore series, it says on the bottom. So the Nevermore series is a middle grade fantasy series, and it follows Morrigan Crow, who I won't go into detail about this book, but I will tell you a little bit about the series. It follows Morrigan Crow, who, when she was 11, she was fated to die on her 11th birthday. When she turned 11, instead of dying, she was whisked off to another part of the world or a fantasy world called Nevermore by Jupiter North, and she was enrolled in a magical competition to join this magical school. I love this series. I thought it was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it so far, and I'm really excited to read this book. I've heard great things about it, and yeah, like I said, I've heard great things. I was at a author talk about the book in June, which I had a great time at, and Jessica Townsend is a lovely person. I met her and chatted with her, and she's really nice, and she made this book sound fantastic, so I'm excited to read it. Definitely want to read it soon, but whether I want to read it in August, we'll see. So it's quite chunky. It's like 600 and something pages long, but it is middle grade. So it will read quickly, but that's still a lot of pages, so we'll see. And then the final possibility is The Lantern's Dance by Laurie R. King. This is, I don't even know what number. 1, 2, 3, 16, 17, 18. So this is number 18 in a series which I love. This is one of my favourite, I say it's one of my favourite series, but I haven't read it all. But anyway, that's not the point. So this is a historical fiction retelling of the Sherlock Holmes story, Watson and Holmes story, except that we don't follow Watson, we follow Mary Russell, who, when she was 16, she met the retired Sherlock Holmes. She literally ran into him on the Sussex Downs. She became his apprentice as a detective, and we follow Mary as they get embroiled in various mysteries throughout their time and their lives. This one is September 1925, and it is set in France, and we are looking back into Holmes's history. So yeah, I've really enjoyed this series, and I'm excited to give this book a read. This was given to me by Elizabeth, who is a friend and fellow patron of Bethany. So thank you so much for this book, and I'm very excited to read it. Hopefully soon, but will I read it in August? Who knows? Those books will feature in a try a chapter vlog, which I will not link below because it hasn't been done yet, but I will definitely put it up on the channel at some point in the next few weeks, so keep an eye out for that if you're interested to see which one I ended up choosing. So yeah, that's the game. Those are the books that I've chosen, sort of. As you can see, I did not manage to get those 2 books that I said I needed to read in August as well onto the TBR. So again, those are The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett and A Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. So those are definitely going on the TBR as well. But anyway, yeah, that's my TBR. Let me know how you're feeling about that TBR, how you feel about my little cheat of picking 2 books for the one prompt, and we'll see. Let me know if you've read any of these books, what you thought of them, which ones do you think I should go for in either that cheating prompt or the try a chapter. That's everything I need to talk to you about today. If you'd like to leave me any other comment, please do so. If you would like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me the shrugging emoji because I'm feeling a little indecisive today. And yeah, that's me. That's it. That's the video. Thank you ever so much for joining me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.